So, Johannes, nice to see you. If we just start with the injuries and fitness, any new ones?
Emi Marcondes is the same, so we have to still give him some rest, so he will also be out for this weekend. Any new ones, of course. Kenny was added to the list with some. I think he felt some pain breathing when he got up to speed in the warm up, and we tried to see what it is, but he will still be, or we will still be in doubt whether he can play Saturday for us. Because obviously we have to find out what it is. We have tried a little bit today without really getting closer. So we do some different tests and see what we can find out. So there's a doubt about him. And then Marcelino had that tackle to his foot in second half, and it's quite swollen. So I don't expect him to be ready for training and game. So I think that's it. Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So with Nacho, is that just this game, or do you think that could?
You never know. We took him for a scan because it actually looked quite severe after the game, and he was also a bit emotional, probably, which just created some concern for us as well, because it was quite swollen already and blue and didn't really look good. But the scan was okay, and it was fortunately for us and for him not broken. So that's good news. But I think Saturday is too soon for him. Let's see how it goes, because it is probably from his position just about resting it, and hopefully within a couple of days it can be better. And then at the end it's also how much pain you can tolerate, because when you have a swollen foot or you have a knock to the foot, or you have something with your ankle, there will always be pain. But he's probably quite good in tolerating that.
Yeah, is he pretty frustrated with that, having just come back?
Yeah, he is. It's frustrating for the group and for him, of course. He wants to play like all the others, and he wants to be involved, but it seems like there's a curse with our midfield players this season.
Yeah. What about Ono Hernandez? Will he be fit for this weekend? Or?
He started to train for the first time today, but very, very light training. So I think we can decide to take him with us if, let's say that it would be important for us in terms of numbers. If we have the amount of numbers we need for the game, I don't think it would be the right choice to bring him, because he's not been with us for a couple of weeks, and today was a very light one on his first one.
Yeah, I suppose the fact you've got Mate and Borja back means you don't necessarily need to take that.
Yeah, but still we have to protect them now. Borja played 90 minutes, which was actually not the plan Tuesday night because of some other substitutions we had to make. So him we have to be a little bit careful about. Of course, still Mate new in the building, and we have to build up his football shape. So we have to be a little bit careful around those players, because we know if we don't get it right, then injuries can happen.
In terms of Gibbs and Forsyth and Forson, I think that's all the rest of them. Still difficult to get a timeline on those, or is it clear?
Yeah, I think with Forson, it will be 2 to 3 weeks before he's back with us in training, and then of course probably another week before he's ready for game time. Forsyth is, like I said last time, here he will have his third injection this week, and that should be hopefully the last one. And then we have to see how it goes, and if he's pain free when he starts running out there again, and when he starts doing some passes, he can be integrated with the team. So probably also around a week or two before we hopefully can integrate him with the team, and if not, then it means that we have to do something completely different to what we've done to begin with.
Yeah, just looking back on Preston quickly, because I'm sure you've had time to analyse it and watch it back. Did anything new come up when you did that, or still sort of the same feelings that you had straight after the game?
It's kind of the same feelings. We were, I think, in moments we were okay and created some good situations for us, but I think the overall picture is that we were off. We were not finding the flow that was needed to open up an aggressive, but also in moments low block. We didn't get the movements right. I don't think there was a good enough connection between the players who were supposed to build up the game for us, and then the players doing the movements to open up the space that we needed. I think were close to getting in behind them to create some good situations a handful of times, but then probably lacked the last quality, the last good decision. So I think it was not a good game for us, and we were not where we're supposed to be, and hopefully not an indicator for what we can expect, but hopefully just one of them where it happens.
I think something a lot of people picked up on was maybe the number of sort of long balls or the more direct attempts. Was that something that you picked up, or? So what did you make of that? Were you unhappy with that?
No, because it was kind of the approach, and you know, every decision we take is down to me. So when we don't get it right, it's down to me. And I think what we tried to do was to create a bit more open game compared to the derby game. See if we could make it a little bit more back and forth with all the risk that comes with that, because then, players can be vulnerable in situations that have to defend big spaces for themselves. But on the other hand, it could also create a game picture for us where we could bring the ball into the box a little bit earlier and create some moments in and around the box a little bit earlier than compared to the derby game. So that was the approach, but I don't think we managed to get that balance right, because of course still you need to do some passes, and still you need to work yourself closer to the box, and you cannot only bring direct passes, and that balance was not right on the day.
Is that something that you think we'll continue to see from your team going forward, or is it just dependent on the opposition?
I think we have to be able to change depending on the opposition from time to time, but I also think it's more important with us and for us with a very clear base and a very clear foundation of how we do things, which in my opinion, if we're good enough, we can beat all the teams in the league. So I think I don't know if it's the right thing to say, but I think probably against Hull on Saturday, it's a little bit more back to basics, or back to what we have been succeeding with and been successful with this season, with the structure and the positions that we think we are most comfortable in. So I think we have to get back to some of that, and then of course see if we can adapt to the opposition, which we always have to do, and find their weaknesses and see if we can exploit that.
Yeah, obviously we've seen the team performing a lot better than they have in the last couple of games, and I know you're focused on improvement at the moment and you feel like that's something that you're trying to do, but do you feel like that maybe highlights the fact that inconsistency is part of improvement?
Yeah, and I know that's what we look for. We always look for answers in this world. I think a big thing for us is also that, again, we have to change some important positions for us more or less from time to time and from game to game, and that's not ideal for us in the moment. We're gonna solve it. We're gonna come up with ideas. We're gonna be creative around it. But again, our midfield Tuesday night was completely new and very, very young. And that's probably also what we're going to get sometimes, and I think they did all they could, but we also know that the experience in this league is very important for us, and we have to have that in the team as well. So it feels like we have to come up with some ideas from game to game, because that constellation in midfield changes all the time, and I'm pretty sure also with the progression we made and with the improvement we made in the team, when the foundation was there in the team, I think it was easy to see, but it's also easy to see that if we need a couple of the leadership or the leaders in there, then we can be a little bit vulnerable. Then we can be a little bit inconsistent, and that's probably where we were on Tuesday night.
Yeah, looking ahead to the weekend, given how those games have gone, is there quite a significant appetite in the changing room to sort of make a statement and put things right?
Yeah, there is. There's always, and that's the beauty about this league. There's always a next game. So of course there is. Still, we need to be analytic about the situation and look at what is it actually that we didn't get right Tuesday night. So it's not only about feelings. It's not only about getting out there and show everyone that we are a better team. Of course, that ambition should always be there to go out and show every time we play how good we can be. But we also have to get it right in terms of the structure and the positions, and how we press and how we build up and how we want to create chances, because that's the support we can give the players. And I'm a strong believer that the better we are in giving that support, the better the players can be.
Yeah, and obviously it's Hull. What have you made of them?
Oh, that's a tricky one, I think, at the moment, because looking back at their games, then they have made some incredible results, and then they can lose the game after, and go into Sheffield United winning 3-0, making a 3-3 game at home against Leeds, a lot of goals, a lot of chances, and then they lose 2-1 at home to Stoke, conceding from a couple of set piece situations. So it's a tricky one. I think they are down to finding their way of playing, which doesn't really change from game to game. I know they changed a little bit in the game yesterday evening against Burnley, from first half to second half, but it's been consistent how they want to build the game and how they want to press and stuff like that. So I don't think that will change to Saturday, and I think also taking into account their position in the league, I think they will come out quite strong and quite aggressive in the game, and we have to be ready for that.
Yeah, what are you expecting from that style of play?
I'm expecting that high pressing in the 4-3-3 that they normally do. They are front-footed. They release their midfielders, and we have to be calm, even though we're under pressure. We have to succeed in our build-up against that, to find the open space and to find the free space. If we're too direct in our approach, then it would be too difficult for our strikers to handle that, I think. So, yeah, a good, solid build-up game for us is important. Then we know that Hull they also try to build the game, and they also try to have their rotations inside the middle, to create some space for their wingers on the outside. So our pressing game needs to be good as well. So it's a very classic Championship game where for us we have to get more or less everything right.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about Abu Kamara as well. Obviously, I'm sure you've seen many of his recent performances in the last few days. I think it's fair to say he maybe didn't have the best start at Hull, but have you seen since Sellers has come in that maybe he's the sort of player you hoped he would become for Norwich?
I think he's a good player, and I think the plan for us was also to keep him here back in the summer. But of course he had a wish to move on, and sometimes you have to listen to that when you cannot find some kind of agreement. So I think he's a good player. I think he's a great dribbler. His left foot is good. He has a good vision for his teammates up front. So don't get me wrong here, because I think actually everyone hoped for him to succeed. He should probably wait scoring too many goals on Saturday. We don't need that. But I think for him to succeed in the league, all of us hope for, because he is a good player and a good lad. So yeah, it's credit to him that he's in the team now, and it seems like that he's taken that good and important step as a young player to get into a Championship team.
Indeed. Probably if we were talking about this game a couple of weeks ago, you might have mentioned the fact that it was away from home and your team had been struggling away from home. But do you think the win away at Watford will give a bit more confidence in that sense?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say. I think, of course, we had two tough ones, Sheffield United and Leeds United. But I think, yeah, taking them out of the equation, then I think it's more realistic for us to make a good performance. I think we saw that in Watford. I think parts of the game in Luton in the beginning of this year was also okay. So I definitely think we can put on another strong performance also away from home. But I'm also aware that we have to raise the level from the last two games that we have played. I'm also aware that we need to get it right in terms of who's playing together and how we do the things and how we build up in the game and how we put the players together where we know that they can be at their best. We have to get that right to make a good performance, because now we're getting into that part of the season where either you are in the top, or you are around the playoffs, or you're around the relegation. So every team, they have something to push for. Every team, they have something to fight for. We hopefully are there to fight for the playoffs. That's still the ambition. Also, with two not so good results, that's still the ambition for us. And I think it's fair to say I was not that clear before the season started, because we knew that with so many changes, it's sometimes a little bit difficult to predict where you will be and where you will go. But I think from what we have seen, I think it's realistic for us to push, and we have to get off to a good result and performance Saturday. But we are there now where every team has something to fight for, and Hull is fighting for not being relegated and not to be down there where they are at the moment. So nothing's going to be easy.
Yeah. I also wanted to ask you about Lewis Dobbin, because I think the fact we saw even when Borja came back into the team that you found a place for him shows that you rate him pretty highly, don't you?
I think what he gives us is, and that was not his best performance, and I don't think Derby either was his best performance. I think he was better in what was that? That was in Watford, where I think he created some problems for their defensive line. I think he did, of course, beside the good goal he scored against Swansea, I think he did some good things in that game as well. Most important is that he gives us pace on the last line. He can run in behind, and he gives us a threat also on the counter. Which we probably have needed a little bit this season. So he's a different type compared to the other players up front. That's what we like.
Yeah, I also wanted to ask about Jose Cordoba, because it's probably the first time in a few years that he's been fit and not been able to get into the starting 11. How has he taken that?
Super professional. Yeah, he was a part of the session out here today with some of the non-starters and a couple of the players who started Tuesday night, and it's just top professional, top quality out there. But there's competition, and of course he's left-footed, so it's more obvious for him to play that left centre-back role, and for us at the moment that's Callum Doyle. So should we change that? There's competition, and if Callum drops in his performance level, then of course we are up for a change. Can Jose also play to the right? I think he can, and that's probably also something we need to train with him. We did it against Brighton in the first half, where he played as a right centre back, and I think just like a right-footed player can play the left centre back, then of course a left-footed can play the right centre back position. So we need to open up for that position as well for him. But it's competition, and it's football, and what he's doing at the moment is just trying to do his best. So I cannot complain about that.
I know it's obviously not nice for him, but as you, as a manager, to see somebody of that quality on your bench, I suppose that's a good sign of the squad depth you've got, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and it tells us that I think we are in a good place also defensively. And I think, even though of course last two games not too good results, but I think defensively we have also improved, and I think again, two tough ones. They're away games we have mentioned a couple of times now, but it's not too much we are conceding, and we are getting closer to being around in average one goal conceded if we look at the last 15-20 games, something like that, which is better for us, and which is also the level that we have to get into. So it's good, and it's not only the two centre-backs playing, it's also the other ones, because there's been a lot of rotation in some of the other games, so everyone is involved, everyone is a part of that, and yeah, it's just important for the group, and also as an individual player, if you want to be at your best, then you need someone to push you. Then you need competition every day when you train. If you're too comfortable in just playing every single game there is, then I don't believe that you will get to your best ever.
Yeah, I suppose there are those benefits and there is that competition, but is it maybe more of a task for you than it was a couple of months ago in terms of trying to manage the group and...
Yeah, in some areas there's of course also some areas where there's not too much competition at the moment. And that's how it is. But yeah, the areas where there is competition, and there's of course also a right back situation where Jack Stacey just played a little against Derby and not at all against Preston. So that's also something we have to have in mind. And for me, I try to pick the right moments to talk to the players, because we can also not talk every week. It's just sometimes I make a decision together with my coaching staff, and that's how it is. And as a player, you have to accept that and do your best. And like I said, with Jose, Jack is completely the same. He's doing his best every time he's out here. So in terms of having that strong culture and training performance, then we are in a good place.
Good stuff. Thanks, Johannes.
Thank you.
Cheers, Andy. Hi, Johannes. Just two questions. How are you feeling personally? Because a week ago you were really optimistic, you had all the players coming back, the squad was looking stronger, and then you lose three in the space of a week. It must be really frustrating.
It is, to be honest with you, it is a little bit tough, I would say, because I think we have so big ambitions here, and we really want to be successful as fast as possible, as quick as possible. So to have all those setbacks, but I also try not to complain too much about it, because I know we cannot not really do anything about it. It's the fact, and it's not ideal for any team to lose out on a Marcondes who've been involved in a goal every second game he plays, to lose out on your captain in warm-up on a Tuesday night important game, to have a Chilean international midfielder who's not been available for us for so many weeks. It's never ideal for any team, but like I said, it's the fact, and we have to come up with solutions and like in some of the other positions, we're given the opportunity to some of the young ones, and I think that's been a surprise for me to see some of them where they have taken some good steps and they have really showed what they can do. But can we expect that they can just step in as a young boy and then be ready to compete in the top of the championship? No, probably not. It's probably too much to expect. So we also have to lower the expectations a little bit when that's the case. But of course, to be honest, a little bit tough because I want us to develop as fast as possible. I want to see the team improve, and of course, obviously, I don't want too many setbacks. And it seems like what I said in the beginning of the press conference. It seems like there's a little bit of a curse with our midfield group. I don't know why we are having so many injuries, but we try to get the best out of it. That's the only thing we can do. And the last thing we should do is to be too frustrated or feeling too much down about the situation, because there's always another player who's ready to play, and we should give him all the support that he can probably take.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to Derby and Preston a bit, they set up quite negatively, didn't they? You know, five at the back and stuff. Are you expecting Hull to be the same, or them being at home? Do you think they'll be different?
I think they will be different, because that's what I've seen, and that's also what I saw yesterday evening when they played against Burnley. That they, away from home, a difficult game, they tried, and they probably didn't get everything right yesterday. That was probably also the reason why they changed their pressing formation from the start of second half. But what I've seen from them so far is that they try to be quite clear in what they want to do, and they stick to that no matter who they play against. Then they can do changes in the game, like a defensive sub when they scored the third goal against Leeds and stuff like that, which is normal. But I think, especially in the beginning of the game, they try to be aggressive and they try to put us under pressure. I will expect that.
And would you prefer that in a way, instead of just having a block of bodies to get through?
It's a good question. I think actually when we're getting a little bit better, I think I prefer to play against teams where they sit back, because then it's more or less given what we have to do, and it hopefully doesn't take too much practice and training for us to be able to break down a defensive line of five and then some midfielders in front to cover. And I think that's probably a step that is natural for a team where, like us, we have a lot of the ball in every game we play. We create a lot of chances, and now teams, they see that and they adapt to what we do, and now we have to be able to adapt to that, and that's the next step for us, and a difficult step to take, because for all the teams in the world, it is difficult to break down a low defensive line, but I actually prefer that, because I think when we get it right and when we are getting a little bit better, when we're improving a little bit, then we have the game picture that we want, and then we can put them under pressure constantly for 90 minutes, and that's probably the game that I prefer, a controlled game instead of a too open game.
Brilliant. Thanks, Johannes. Thank you.
Of course.
Thanks, Andy.